The tunnel there, they're without Christophers and they're without Balshaw. Do they change their tactics for this second half?
I think they probably do. I think they tighten it up and say to Bath, let's see if you can play. And realistically, if they're going to stand a chance of winning Bath, they've got to attack Leeds and throw caution to the wind.
OK, it's Leeds at the moment. 20 points to 9. They lead into the second half of this Powergen Cup Final. We're back with Brian Moore and Nick Mullet.
Thank you, Steve. Yes, there is a bit to think about for the team who monopolised English rugby's top prizes in the mid-80s to the mid-90s. An unmatchable 17 trophies collected during that purple patch. But they've not won anything since 1998, and things will have to change in this game if that run, that depressing run, is not to continue. Leeds have played out of their skins, as the guys were saying in the studio, without their two kingpins as well, without Balshaw and Christophers. Neither side have made a change at half-time, and that man Gordon Ross has been the most influential player on the pitch so far.
He has been, but it's the 8 forwards in front of him. They're going to decide whether or not Leeds can hang on to this, because they started to lose their own ball in the line-outs. They started to be under pressure in the scrums, and that meant they couldn't play at all. And it's in their hands. They have to dig deep over the next 40-odd minutes and make sure that they get their share of possession.
Hands off! That's out!
Joe Maddock going to ground, and
No hands!
Bath desperate to get some early momentum.
Away one!
The point is well made about the forwards as well in the studio at half-time, that there wasn't much for those backs to run on to, neither of them making significant ground. It was of the arm wrestling variety, close quarters, but not big meterage really, and there's a lot to think about. And there's Chris Malone, who would have had more to think about than most at half-time, having given that interception pass to the swift Sneyman. Now this is a line-out that Bath will surely try and challenge. Lots of pressure on Reagan. And they did well. This is Poppen, the Welshman. Only been playing regularly since February because of a serious neck injury. Both sides have had more than their fair share of injuries this season, and that's continued today from a Leeds point of view. Now that's the Bath coaching setup. Big John Connolly in the middle. He's leaving at the end of this season, going back to Queensland, spend some more time with his family on the Sunshine Coast. And Richard Graham, the backs coach, to the right, and Michael Foley, who drills the forwards superbly. Malone, Barkley outside, comes back inside to Lee Mears. There's Malone again, back to Higgins. Upended though, but Barkley can continue things for the West Countrymen. The roars of 30,000 voices trying to drive them on. Here's Mears. Malone to Perry. Going sideways. Got the support from Fricky Welsh. It's a real powerful South African. Not had much opportunity, but he was pushed into touch point.
Yeah, but frankly, a bit dull play. He should never have been in that position. Perry was screaming out to him to come inside. He didn't, he stayed outside, and Leeds were able to grab him and grapple him into touch. I mean, it was quite obvious from the angle that Perry was running at that he had to come inside, and he chose not to do so. And in essence, he probably turned the ball over because Leeds have got the throw now.
Leeds a little miffed in the build-up to this that they got no special cup final suits. They were thinking that a trip to the final would bring some threads for them, but they had to make do with a pair of sunglasses apparently, which was not quite the same.
They didn't do a record either, did they?
No record.
No record either.
No.
Ilkimo Bartat's a boring song anyway, so we won't do that.
Bath, on the other hand, had a trip to the hairdressers on Thursday. Ollie Barkley amongst those who had a top-notch chop. Did you ever have a trip to the hairdressers before your cup finals with Quins?
What would be the point with me, frankly?
Not a man for highlights.
Well, it came off, risky throw. It was seen by Bath, but they managed just to... Regan did well with that, but Ross didn't do well with that. And this is not good, because they've won the ball now 3 or 4 times. In the end, it was well taken by Scott Morgan, but they've had 3 or 4 attempts at clearance and they haven't made any significant ground. And if you're gonna, you might as well box kick this from there, because if you're gonna give the throw away, you might as well just belt it downfield.
Well, neither side can win their lineouts at the moment. Each have had theirs stolen in succession, and Ross up to halfway, but only to Fricky Welsh. And this is Perry, who's eyeing, I think, selection for the England tour to North America, the Churchill Cup. Team due to be named, squad due to be named on Monday. Andrew Higgins is somebody who might come up on the rails as well. He's had an impressive season. But, well, the use of the hands again, and it's a penalty to Bath.
And that's needless. He's in front of the back foot. The Leeds defence was all set. They were in position. The old adage, never truer than you cannot defend a penalty.
It's one of those situations, isn't it, where you try to look inside the mind of a player to work out why on earth he would think of doing that, and nothing but dark shadows when you look into the mind of Gavin Kerr, because he was 10 metres away from the referee and he knew that this would happen, and Malone has the opportunity to semi-redeem himself.
I suppose in mitigation you could say it was a prop, but that's about it really.
Another important kick for Malone. Looked as if it was drifting left, but it swung back inside and it worked in the end for Chris Malone. First points of the second half, as they needed to from a Bath perspective, have gone to the favourites, and they've narrowed the gap. 6 minutes into the second half, it's Leeds 20, Bath 12.
And that's the sort of thing that, well, I want to say that Leeds can't afford. No side can afford to give points away like that. You've got to make everybody earn them. And whilst Bath have looked slightly more dangerous, they haven't actually threatened the Leeds line properly.
Matt Perry clearing the ball under some pressure. It's just interesting looking at Chris Malone's attempt at goal there. I was talking to him and to Ollie Barkley in the build-up to this match about how, despite the fact that it's the same manufacturer, it's made by Gilbert, it's different to the ball that they use in the Premiership and the ball they use in internationals. It's somehow thicker and heavier, they think, so they've been training with it all week, and Malone at the moment has his kicking boots on. It was taken in by Parks, dynamic component in an all-Welsh back row, and this is Ross, and they've got men over here, and this is McMullen out to Biggs, back to Ross, at the centre of all things good from a Leeds perspective at the moment. Mike Shelley, the 33-year-old, the longest serving player at the club. Neat hand still from Leeds, and Dickens crouches and waits. Drop goal. Well, it's not going to work, is it? But still a little bit of pressure for the Bath defence to deal with, and Fricky Welsh, but not on that occasion. And Malone doesn't hang around. Ross had got back quickly into position. One bounce into touch.
Well, he's having a good game, isn't he, Gordon Ross? He's doing all the hard things, but he's also had the presence of mind when, in fact, virtually none of the other Leeds players had, to get back into a position to field the kick from Malone, which could have caused problems, but he fielded it well and made a good return.
Offers a useful option at the line-out, James Scaysbrook. Leeds have a penalty coming against them. Pulling the ball down, pulling the maul down. That's the reason why.
Yeah, and again, a bit of a dull penalty. You'd take mauls down if they're near your line, and it looks like it might be 7 points, your chance 3, but not from there. And you can see, there it goes. That's why it falls down, because he simply drags him to the floor, does Richard Parks.
unfortunately for him, that's a very poor kick. It's only made about 15 metres.
Well, that's the Leeds first-team coach, John Callard. It's been a tough week for him. Still loves Bath, the club he played for with such distinction. He's still their record scorer, Callard. Won a European Cup for them, but here he is plotting their downfall in the Cup Final. Driven forward by Matt Stevens, and we haven't seen much of Stevens in that sense so far, and Bath will hope for more. Ball back inside was closer to Pearson than any other player, and
well, the referee doesn't help, but it's a pass he could have taken. But what concerns me is that Bath have come back inside on the last 4 occasions. They've gone, well, they've ostensibly started to move the ball wide, but they've brought the ball back. And I think they need to spread it because the room is out there. Leeds are there to be stretched.
they need to somehow try and generate a bit more momentum, don't they? A bit more energy in the game when they're going forward.
Well, the difficulty is, I mean, they're getting quick ball, but once you bring it back inside, you go back into the traffic, you go back into the forwards.
It's a penalty against the Leeds front row. Gavin Kerr, who for the second time in 5 minutes has conceded a penalty.
Now, I'm not saying this isn't a penalty, because it probably is, but what is the difference between that and the one that happened early on? There isn't one. They pop out. That's poor scrummaging by Kerr because his right arm has disengaged. He's not got a bind. Matt Stevens is driving him up. Once it's a tight head, your body is above level, you are in trouble because you can't anchor it. 39 minutes. But what I don't understand is, whenever you go, it's supposed to be an offence. Yeah, he let one go, but he's penalised this one. I couldn't see the difference between the two of them.
4 from 4 so far. 5 from 5 would be handy. Oh, it's off the post, and there was no one following up. Malone was the closest to his kick. It was bouncing awkwardly, but Leeds had plenty of time to sort themselves out. And Gordon Ross will gratefully clear to touch.
Well, I don't know if they haven't practiced it, but if I was John Connolly, I'd be spitting blood now. Look at this. No one chasing at all. That's a disgrace for a professional side. That's awful. Well, he's a hard taskmaster, John Connolly. He won't be pleased about that, nor should he be.
Here goes Malone again, though. Throw from Mears was overthrown, but well, Bath got away with it. They won't now, though, because Skaysbrook has knocked on. Playing the advantage. Hooper's wrapped up.
No hands, Rook! Stay!
Dickens
Over.
to Ross. McMullen. Been around McMullen. Played for Bristol, played for Leicester. And he's on loan from Narbonne, doing a job now because Phil Christophers is injured. And I think Leeds will be happy enough. The familiar figure of Phil Davis, the director of rugby. Decade at the club now, overseeing their rise on the left-hand side. And well, he's been an absolute gem for Yorkshire rugby.
Terry Crystal, the team doctor behind him, was the England team doctor for a long time.
Barkley. Malone again. Back to Stevens.
They're coming back into the traffic though again, aren't they? Look.
Fernati. Mears was on hand. 30-year-old Walsh back to Skaysbrook. Barkley again. Well done by Perry. The ball had to be out quickly, but Higgins couldn't control it. Bit by bit, the frustration is beginning to mount, isn't it?
Yes, it is. You can't. Well, these are inexplicable, aren't they? I mean, the Leeds Rhinos, who are sat in the stand, will be appalled by that. Now, is he allowed to do that? In soccer, he would be... well, it's free kick, I don't know. Well, it doesn't matter because the referee hasn't given it, so let's get on with it.
That seems fair enough. Who cares?
That's right, I don't care actually, really.
Johnson hold. Engage. Get it in. No.
The free kick has gone against the Bath front row. Going too soon. But that scrum is an area where you sense Bath do have the edge. It's the area that they might launch the comeback, which needs to come, because the ball came off Fairnarty's hands. Every single Leeds player was onside, but it's back on the Bath side anyway. Malone to Barkley, who had to stretch. Maybe some magic from Barkley. Finds Joe Maddock, the Kiwi. Back inside to Mears, who's appearing in midfield as much as the centres are at the moment. Perry, socks down, means business. Walsh, Popham tried to deliver the big tackle. There's Walsh again, who was on the losing side a year ago playing for Sale. Malone, back to Perry. Has Grewcock waiting. The Leeds were waiting for the pass to come to Higgins. And at the moment, Leeds are operating in shallow 10-metre corridors and unable to break through any further.
Let him play it.
Geraint Lewis, somebody who might be able to change that for Bath. Here goes Malone. Perry again.
Hands off! Still in! Still in!
Need a scrum half.
Away!
Stevens drives on, and all that pressure, all that possession given away with that penalty.
Get away! No!
And I think someone from Leeds congratulated Duncan Bell for giving that penalty away. 9 phases there, Nick. They went forward about 20 metres, and that's not just as a result of there he's isolated those. He's got to let go of that. Those players are perfectly entitled to take the ball there. And I don't know why he's looking mystified, because it was quite a clear-cut one.
It's Richard Parks who comes in with the note of congratulation.
It is, and I thought someone would have had a small word. Not that I ever did things like that, but the serious point actually is that what I was just going to say, it's not just a case of Bath not being flamboyant and not having the cutting edge. You do have to give credit to Leeds' defence there, because over 9 phases of play they hung on in there, they denied Bath sufficient ground, and the result was they got someone isolated, and they now should have possession.
It's a point worth re-emphasising as well, if you are just switching on, that Leeds have lost their full-back and their outside centre, Bolshaw and Christophers as well, in the first half, so they've had to reorganise that defence, which is holding up well. And here's one of the try scorers, Chris Bell.
Wait. Oh, you
Ross.
Get away!
Interesting.
Knock back.
Diego Albanese was challenging.
Hands out! Still on Vansbrook with knock on.
Fairnarty,
Challenge over.
Skaysbrook, Higgins. Fricky Welsh is outside. Tackle was made by Tom Palmer.
Tackle not releasing. Tackle not releasing.
And the penalty goes against Palmer. Reason why clear enough from the referee, Dave Pearson. As much as you as the tackle player have to release the ball, as the tackler you have to release the player as well.
Don't slow it down, 5. There you go.
If I were a Bath forward, I'd be very unhappy about the lackadaisical way in which that ball was plonked into touch from a penalty. He made 10 yards there.
Cooper was challenging, but the ball comes back on the Bath side. Malone runs through the attempted tackle of Ross. Barkley off his left foot. Has he got the angle right? No, he's got it wrong, and it may well go dead, which means that they'll come all the way back from the point where Barkley kicked it, and Leeds will have possession. Well, let's get a view from the touchline, a man who lifted the European Cup for Bath a few years back. Andy Nichols down there. What are you seeing, Andy?
Well, Nick, Bath have upped their game in the second half, but they're going through the phases. I mean, it was 9 phases the last time, and Matt Stevens took the ball on his own and then got turned over. And they just need to get the cutting edge. And at the moment, Matt Perry's the only one who really has got that. And if they've only got one source of that sort of penetration, then it's quite easy to defend.
Well, the ball was initially rescued by Popper, but Dave Pearson had seen it being knocked on. And we're going to have some replacements. Bath are beginning to shuffle their pack. Joe Maddock, the New Zealander, is going to make way.
14.
And Brendan Daniel is coming on. And a significant moment. He becomes the first ever player to appear in a final for 3 different clubs. Brendan Daniel, one with Saracens in 1998 and lost with Harlequins a few years later, and now in the thick of it for Bath. And he's replaced Joe Maddock. Fresh legs, fresh ideas, Brian, really, but they need to do something. Here is Perry, who was singled out by Andy Nicholl. Finds Fricky Welsh, he had his foot in touch. It's been a frustrating season for Fricky Welsh. Joined the club in November, but really opportunities to impress restricted by injuries, and thought he was away but wasn't.
Well, Gordon Ross going high there, and he was about to rue it until he saw that he'd clearly stepped into touch. Goes high, gets handed off. Fortunately for Leeds and Gordon Ross, there wasn't enough room for him to make capital on it, but more worrying for Leeds is the fact that their scrum is creaking now. The Bath scrum went forward on the last hit. In stark contrast to that, the last knock-on from the Leeds scrum was caused by Bath pressure. So, as I said right at the beginning of this half, those forwards have to hang on in there.
Maybe as a result of that creaking scrum, Matt Holt has come on for Gavin Kerr. Ball was knocked forward by Chris Bell, the referee playing the advantage. Skaysbrook to Higgins, back to Daniel. But they'll come back for the earlier knock-on.
No advantage. First offence knocked on, scrum blue ball.
Well, there's no real explanation for that either than simple carelessness. And he will be hoping that they're not made to pay.
Just to clear up the housekeeping as well, Dan Hyde is on in the back row ahead of Richard Parks. Parks is off, Hyde is on. Uncomplicated, no-nonsense back rower. One of the longest-serving players at the club. And there's a sense that if Leeds can get some stability in that scrum, that's the area that they might be hurt, then they'll be halfway home.
Well, I do return to the original point I made. It's the source of first phase ball for Leeds this half, the quality and the quantity of it that will dictate whether or not they have sufficient possession to deny Bath the scoring opportunities, so they don't have to defend, for 40 minutes.
Fricky Welsh just getting a little treatment for cramp, maybe. He's back on his feet. Ross was up so quickly, a little unfortunate. He knocked the ball on, according to Pearson, so the ball will be Bath's from the scrum should they need it. Malone. Oh, dear me. Well, they were rescued by the earlier knock-on, but it's not happening at the moment.
Well, I think he was generous there, Dave Pearson, to allow that to go on, because they got clear ball. But that was a very laboured move from Bath. It's a set move from a scrum, yet it was so well telegraphed that the Leeds defence managed to step in and stop it at source. Drifted, was slow.
Higgins to Perry, Daniel outside him. That's the Leeds 22. Into the final quarter of the match, and it's the underdogs who are still leading. Walsh.
No hands, Rock, hands off! Away! Rock!
And the ball is there, but it's being delivered slowly. Walsh waits. Malone to Barkley. Back to Malone. Geraint Lewis, the Welshman. driven on by Bell. This is Feanati, and all of a sudden there are options again. Lots of players on the wide right-hand side. Barkley again, though, cuts back inside, makes progress. Now they need the ball quickly, which they have. Malone, they've so many players on the right. Skaysbrook finds Fricky Welsh. Ball rescued back by Albanese. And Leeds have fought the fire and extinguished it.
Well, I'm sorry, but all I have to say about that was appalling back play from Bath. They had the numbers, no one straightened. Well, for a start off, that shouldn't have come inside because they had even fewer numbers, Leeds, but there, the overlap's there, the drifting. And it's at times like this you wonder with Leeds, you know, that they might just ride the luck, you know. Things keep happening, you know, little drop passes here and backs not straightening the ball, etc, etc. And Leeds are hanging on in there. They're still making the tackles. They're being aided by Bath not being precise and, well, double the amount of tackles there, aren't they? And that's, you know, that's a fair reflection, obviously. But Leeds, whilst they are being tenacious in defence, they're being assisted by some, frankly, woeful back play from Bath.
Have Bath looked like scoring a try? I'm not sure they have they?
Well, no, they've looked more dangerous. They've made half breaks, but no, they haven't actually threatened the line directly. Well, my God, 88% in there, and they haven't looked like scoring a try.
Just over 15 minutes to go. Daniel. Surely this pressure will tell in the end. Or can Leeds really hold on for another quarter of an hour and claim what would be the most unlikely of cup upsets? They will if the tackling continues.
He's been turned over here as well.
Oh, it's wonderful defence, and look at the reaction of those Leeds players. It's as if he's scored a try, and not much reaction from John Callard, but he'll be burning up inside.
Well, it was a marvellous tackle, because not only does he halt him, look, he dumps him and he stops him turning. He's trying to get round, but he can't.
Hey, let's go, lads.
Tremendous tackle. Everyone's happy. They know how much this means, because they've been under pressure, haven't they? They've been under pressure.
You know, the interesting aspect of all this, though, Brian, and I know we've still got another 15 minutes to go, but the winners of this competition, the winners of the Powergen Cup, automatically get qualification for the Heineken Cup next season, unless they go down in the Premiership.
Yeah.
And at the moment, Leeds are heading out of the Premiership. At the end of the season, they're bottom with 2 big games to come. Well, they play Harlequins a week on Tuesday, and then they finish up with a game against Bath, believe it or not, at the Rec, and they may well need to win that game if they win this cup to book their place in Europe next season.
And that's a ridiculous rule, frankly. Well, if you're a winner, aren't you?
I agree with you. I think if they win the cup final, they deserve to be in Europe. The only other clubs who might argue with you are those who would otherwise finish outside the Heineken Cup qualification zone in the Premiership and would therefore benefit. That for another time and another day, however, and it will not be on Leeds' mind at the moment. They are 15 minutes away from the biggest moment in their history.
They are, and I don't see a lot of urgency from Bath. If I were in their shoes, I think I'd be picking my feet up a bit quicker, because the time is ticking away now. It's more than a converted try as well that they need, or 3 penalties. And given that they've not looked particularly threatening insofar as crossing the line, they really need every second they can get.
There's the change at scrum half. Walsh is gone, Martin Wood is on. Barkley to Higgins. He is deceptively tough to derail. Higgins. He's had a terrific season thus far, as has this man Matt Stevens, but if a season is to end in a cup win, they've got some work to do. Daniel does well. Oh, Ross was there. Now, was that deliberate knock-on from Gordon Ross? It's been seen by the referee.
He's not going to give it. He's not going to give it. The Bath scorers don't like that, and I'm not surprised. Does he make an attempt to catch that? No, he doesn't. And that's quite open to me, I think.
And the difference is that Bath will have the scrum rather than a penalty.
Absolutely. But Nick, see what happened the first time they moved the ball really wide with conviction. First time they did it, made loads of ground, stretched Leeds, in trouble.
Here's the break from Andrew Higgins, and he's been doing this for much of the season. He's not the biggest, but, well, a little unfortunate with the slip, but when he gets going, he's very, very hard to stop, but he's just not been getting going enough during this game.
Well, he's been given the ball, running back into traffic and, you know, boshing into people, so you're not going to see him, you're not going to see his paces. I don't understand why it's taken this long to understand that, you know, that's where the gaps are.
Malone, the men are lining up outside. Time is ticking away. The replacement, Wood. Back to Malone. This is Daniel. Wood again. There's the try line. Voices, West Country voices raised in expectation. Fiddler. Leeds defence has been dominant, and it's picked up by Popham. The ball was out. You heard Dave Pearson say it, and Alex Popham reacted quickly.
Now don't panic now, they've got the ball.
Oof. Bell with the clearing kick, and everything at the moment is going Leeds' way.
Yeah, but they're making the tackles, aren't they? Alex Popham poaching that ball, but the referee clearly said it was out. And he's been hurt as a result of that, but
No, Whitey, no, not now.
but Bath have another 50 metres to go now.
Popham in the air.
Danny Grukop skippering the team. At the moment, he won't be getting his mitts on the Powergen Cup. Malone again, Barkley in support, but Daniel was there instead. This is Perry, the fullback, back to Malone, but just look how many yellow shirts are there. Feanati coming in on the hurtful angle. Barkley, Higgins. Well, there are Leeds Rhinos defenders in the stands who will be admiring this gang defence. One goes high, the other goes low. The Bath player goes nowhere. And with a penalty comes, they've got to roll away from the tackle, and well, now they're 8 points behind. If they get this penalty, then they'll be within strike if they score a try. Where do they go, Brian?
They take the points. The referee deeming that the tackle player is not being released by the tackler. And, well, there are lots of people on the floor with cramp at the moment.
It's Fricky Welsh, who's been troubled with cramp in this second half. Leeds have made a change, by the way. John Dunbar has taken the place of that man, Alex Popham. John Dunbar, who marked his Six Nations debut for Scotland this season. And I wonder what that man is thinking. Jack Rowell, he's kind of the Bobby Robson, really, of English rugby, isn't he? He is the man who has pulled Bath up by their bootlaces over the last 30 years, and he's retiring at the end of the season. And Big Jack, well, he deserves to go out on success, but at the moment it's not happening.
But when you compare the tremendous backlines that Bath have had in the past, Hill, Guscott, Trick, Swift, Barnes, Halliday, de Glanville, I'm afraid that the backs, as presently constituted, are a pale imitation.
Oh, and that's a big miss. That is a big miss for Chris Malone. A kick that would have pulled Leeds within a converted try of taking the lead. They still stay 8 points adrift.
And psychologically that lifts. The Leeds forwards will be tired. They've had to do a lot of tackling. They've done it manfully. But when that happens, it just gives you a little bit of a pick-up.
Into the final 10 minutes. Daniel does well, breaks the first line of defence and gives them something to run onto. Driven forward by Bell and intercepted, not for the first time. It's picked up by Dan Hyde. And throughout the match there have been mistakes that have given the ball and the momentum back to Leeds at key points.
Well, what can you say other than that the pass wasn't on? I mean, quite blatantly it wasn't on. It's not as if he's passing out of a tackle. He can see he's in control of the ball. Simply doesn't see the Leeds defender. Well, their accounts are broadly similar, but that doesn't really tell the story, because it's when you make them that counts and where you make them. And Bath have made several in key areas and at key moments in the game. And I just get the feeling that this is Leeds' day, I really do. Mark Regan hobbling to the line out. Old stage, he's got to get himself up for the last 10 minutes.
He's 32 now. International debut here for England a decade ago. Taking over from some old duffer called Moore, and Mark Regan still playing.
I know, it's also his IQ, that's a problem.
Ross finds McMillan, and this is Albanese, the Argentine, on very early on with that injury to Ian Bolshaw, and it is worth repeating that all this with Leeds without Bolshaw and Christophers.
Tries a Campese hitch kick, but nowhere near as successful, and unceremoniously dumped in there. But from a Leeds point of view, you know, it's wasting a bit more time because it takes time to get the line out, etc., etc. So the clock is ticking.
And the man we were talking about, Mark Regan, is going to make way. He's moving to Bristol at the end of the season, Mark Regan, and his cup final is done. He has put his body on the line today, replaced by Rob Rawlinson, proud Lancastrian. But, well, a little smile plays across the lips of Mark Regan.
Well, he's been a tremendous servant. The people at Leeds have had nothing but praise for his efforts since he went up there.
Don't fall down.
7 minutes to go. 8 points the difference.
Keep it up. 18. Don't interfere. Stay out the way. Six out.
Ball being held in by Zach Fairnarty. Wood to Malone. It's a lottery ball. Barkley's running onto it. And Biggs was there first. Ball was knocked on. They're playing the advantage. Matt Stevens drives towards the 10-metre line. Malone. This is Barkley. This is Perry. He really had to stretch. Sneyman, whose interception try just before half-time really changed the complexion of this match, and it's a complexion which hasn't really altered in the 34 minutes of the second half that we've had. 6 left, and Ian Bolshaw can only watch and wonder, short-term with this match and long-term with the Lions, but, well, this is a match which, and a scoreline, Brian, very, very few people would have predicted.
Well, yes, but Bath keep trying to commit Harry-Carry, don't they? Another unforced error. It was a poor pass. Matt Perry had to reach for it. No reason for it to be a poor pass, not under pressure, just imprecision. And it's undermined the whole of Bath's game as imprecision today.
Two more changes in the Bath pack. David Flatman is on in the front row for Duncan Bell. Gareth Delve on in the back row for Geraint Lewis. Someone somewhere needs to make a name for themselves.
That's a good drive by Leeds as well.
5 minutes to go. This is Gareth Delve. First time at Twickenham. Is it going to be a losing debut? It'll be a scrum to Bath.
Well, the referee said there are bodies everywhere, so we re-scrum, but I wasn't sure that ball was on the floor, actually, when the ultimate tackle went in.
Scrum fed by Wood. Malone, Barkley, Higgins. It's a familiar routine. This is normally where it gets gummed down, though. Is there somebody with the incision to break this golden defence? It's not. It's
turned
been
it over
again. Yeah.
Well, poor contact skills.
If there's an area where Bath have lost the match, it's been in the area around the Leeds 22. So many times during the game they've got into decent positions and not capitalised on that position. 4 minutes to go. And even the most die-hard Bath fan from the West Country must now surely be beginning to wonder. They are 2 scores down. Remember, a converted try and they would still be a point down. They need 2 scores to pull this out of the fire. It's been non-stop defence for the second half from the Yorkshiremen. Malone. Still they're going on, and they've been called back. There was crossing, and for half a glorious moment Lee Mears thought he was in, but the referee's whistle brings them back.
Well, does he obstruct the tackler? That's the point. Yes, he quite clearly does. No argument about that, the referee's right, but again, imprecision. Well, if you spend 83% of time in your opponent's half, you ought to be scoring more points.
And what about the tackle count?
Well, double, which is what you'd expect, actually, but Leeds have hung on, and they've dug in, but Bath have helped them all the way down the line. Not that they will care, and not that they should care either.
Well done, Daniel, but there's an increasing sense that his efforts will be for a losing side unless something very special happens. Fricky Welsh to Higgins. Again though, and their lungs must be bursting. How many Leeds defenders are there?
Yeah, but they were helped by the fact they just drifted wide. They just drifted, no one straightened the ball.
A minute and a half to go. Barkley. Skaysbrook brought down. Oh, it's a Bath scrum, but this is going to be Leeds Day surely now. So who's the Powergen man of the match?
Powergen man of the match is that. It's got to be Gordon Ross, hasn't it? He's been superb in the marshalling of the Leeds effort. At times he seemed to be the only man there. He's been faultless in his kicking. He executed the chip perfectly for the first try, which set them on the way. Not only that, he's defended manfully, as indeed the whole of the Leeds side have done. He's covered back from 22s, and he has been the most influential player on this field by quite a long way. Whether Leeds win or lose, he's had a superb game.
We are a minute away from what I would suggest is the biggest upset in cup final history. Leeds can touch the cup. 30 seconds to go. And surely there's no way out of this big dark hole for Bath now. They'll keep plugging. It's what they've been doing all second half, but they've rarely looked like scoring. Fairnati, who's run his socks off in the course of the club all season. They may well be back here in a month or so's time in the Premiership, in the Championship final, but that's for another day. This is what they wanted. And that defence is continuing to suffocate them. We're into injury time, and Leeds know that is that. The next time the ball goes dead, the referee, Dave Pearson, ought to blow the whistle and bring down the curtain on one of the most extraordinary matches in Cup final history. That's it. Leeds have won the cup. It's worth repeating.